let's go right over here just so we have roof and the door.
Oh, I like what you've done with the place.
Fancy.
Yeah. Still
I like this
gonna,
setup a lot
there's
more.
no furniture, people, so half the shit's not even here yet.
Why don't you get Maeve? She's like the best decorator in the world.
We did. She's got keys.
Oh. I mean, Angel, you can explain that one. The second one, we just need to fucking iron out this crane situation.
Yeah, let's.
Okay, so let's.
I
want
want
to get the first one out of the way first.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very simple, actually. So the LSPD one thing first. You guys have been doing a lot of looking into the financial laws recently.
Yep.
And a thought popped into my head while I was talking to Frost today about the grants that they've been receiving and the money that they've been getting. And it occurred to me that I want to make sure that the legal process is actually being followed and the money that is being appropriated to them is being used properly. Because I don't really know how I feel about, like, it's just
You're talking about bonuses?
Yeah, it's a bit much, with like the
I will say we are
paid
very aware.
$250,000 a day, and right, and I'm sure you've looked into the laws surrounding it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you actually like opened an investigation or probe into them yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess I don't even need to talk about this then, 'cause it's something you're already looking into.
So there are a lot of special investigations we do. Okay. I'll give you guys sort of a high level look at it. In the Marshals, when you become a rookie or a recruit, you have access to like Marshal reports, right? But then there are different report types that are big subject matters, say like the faceless. So not every Marshal is necessarily cleared for the faceless. And this is for psychops, right? Get a new Marshal. They may not know, like they may be like, oh, faceless. Let me go talk to everyone about it. Right. So until they are brought into a particular investigation, we don't even fill their head with that information just yet. Right. And if they come across something, they can make a Marshal report. It can get upgraded. And once they get brought up, they get brought into it. Financial crimes has two buckets. There are the ones that show up in the Marshal reports, and then we have some, let's call them special operations. Two of those came to a conclusion today. One was Bruce Baylor, and the other, you know. So, now,
who's?
Don't be a dumb
we're supposed
fuck.
to read between the lines,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh.
Yeah. So understand that there's, so the thing is, like, some of these things I've kind of entrusted some of the finance heads to go as deep as they can for two reasons. And I'm going to be very open about this. We have had IA investigations with law enforcement, and it's nearly impossible to do much with, because I'll give you, there's been two cases recently. Problem is there's so much thin blue line and conspiring to hide evidence that by the time we can even converse with someone, it's already, the evidence is gone. Am I kind of making sense here? Right? Like, people will cover their tracks, and they're better at it than criminals. So,
the second
things
thing-
are being looked into. It's just some things aren't just, very public.
On top of that, obviously to my awareness and Angel's, there definitely isn't a Chamber of Commerce, right? Currently.
Well, like it's like even it's like right now. Like, we understand there's a legislation demanding that one exists, but we don't understand there to be one currently, nor has there been one for a while now.
So
it states in the legislation that any payment over 100,000 has to be approved by the Chamber of Commerce, which would include the payments for the command bonuses, right?
So I can shed a little bit of light on that respect. I believe that there are currently a couple avenues by which monies can be distributed via a sitting mayor in Los Santos County or via their cabinet. And it depends on the avenue. They have discretionary spending, which I believe they can do up to $10,000, which requires an internal vote. up until only about 30 days ago, and this is as a consequence of discovery that I did, which was I started to, like, even before Springfield came on board, which she's been killing it, and
yeah, she's great.
We went to the base, we went and said, okay, these things are happening, but they're not, are they illegal? So we went from Constitution on up with the legislation to see what was the okays and what were the not okays. Give me just 1 second. Who is this?
Okay.
Hey, I'm in a meeting right now. I'll give you a call right afterwards. Yeah.
All right.
Later. And the first thing that we discovered was that there was no maintenance on the mayor listings. So there was felons that should not have been felons inside the mayor's cabinets. As a result, there is now a list that I think all of us can access, which is like an Excel sheet, and it's got both cabinets and it's got the people officially in the cabinet. Without that, any discretional spending that had occurred, which in other words, it required a vote, wouldn't have been valid, right? Because some of the shit was so old that, like, some of those spendings may have occurred when there was no official list of like deputy mayors and cabinet members. I'll give you an example. Andre Tyson. Andre Tyson was on one of the cabinets a while ago. But Andre Tyson is quite literally a violent felon, and that excludes his ability to do so. Therefore, it excludes his ability to vote, and not to mention other things. To kind of skip over some of those details, they can do discretionary spending, which is up to 10% with a majority vote, which I believe Danger had been doing, as an example. Then there is the grant program. Then there are like government, there's like a Los Santos County like police department like expenditure act. So there's a couple avenues, but notwithstanding, I don't think a lot of these things were done legally, right?
Right.
So the only reason I highlight that
assumption.
is it's like more than one avenue, but it doesn't mean that if they didn't use that avenue that they didn't use another one, but it doesn't mean that other one wasn't illegal, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
Sounds cooked, to be honest.
To give you a reference, it seemed like the past senator, for some reason, he didn't spend a lot of money. The account was almost at $1 billion. It is now at 300 million. So let's put that into perspective, right? If 6 months ago, that account was $900 million, 900 million divided by 12 is 75 million accrued a month. And that's with a lot of that's with all the shit that he used to do. So what does that mean? That means 75 times 6 is $450 million plus the 900 that was in the account. That means $1.35 billion was expended in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I'm not surprised the economy is actually just fucking dumpster right now. Holy fuck.
I mean, it is. It really is fucked.
So
But you know what,
$20
though?
million for a fucking
You know
two-bedroom
what, though?
fucking house.
I'm honestly kind of happy in a way because, it just kind of proves that the people are fucking idiots and they'll do anything in their power to fucking ruin their own lives, even unknowingly. So it's kind of it's confirmation in a way. Everyone here deserves this.
100%. And and another silver lining is all these crazy things, whether it's the insane means by which people have just been effectively dumping money for personal gains, or what we're finding to be severe corruption within law enforcement and specific with the LSPD. I mean, there's no, putting makeup on that pig. And other matters. I'm actually glad. Why? Because it's allowed, it's like a stress test, right? Not just of the legal system, but also the procedures that say the marshals and law enforcement actually need. And those are going to be really good for future, right? I
agree, 100%.
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to see the system in action.
Yep.
You know, I have full faith. I think that all this shit's gonna get corrected, and I think all these people are gonna fucking see their time.
Oh yeah, this is only the beginning.
Want to hear something crazy?
This is only the beginning. This is we've been doing this very systematically. Bruce was a test, right? But we had the most evidence on him, right? Evidence isn't how much grants were given, but rather what was needed to, we were able to pull out a lot of criminal acts out of that, right? Mm-hmm. So there are others that are going to come down the line. It's just some of those names aren't being publicized by us, right?
Sure, I got you.
So
for good reason.
Yeah. So, and sorry, you were going to say, Frost?
Yeah, just to put 1.35 billion into perspective, say you divvied that up evenly between 300 people, for example, that would be 45 million each. Like, just to impact how big of a number that is. That's crazy, right?
Oh yeah, it's insane.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. So yeah.
Holy shit.
To summarize, yeah, we are looking into things, but it's being done sort of systematically so that we don't end up with like some cooked cases, right? Like I've had to stop some of the newer guys from just being like, "Ooh, big number, therefore crime," but that's not going to land, right? And
yeah, I got you.
In turn, it could cook that case. Someone could run away with. It will end up like Pred, right, where he gets the jetpack, right?
Right.
It's so. All right.
All right. Well,
that's an unfathomable amount of money, right? Holy
no,
shit.
I can fathom it. I'm fathoming it quite well right now, actually. I'm fathoming it.
You fathoming it?
I'm fathoming that amount.
You're fathoming it right now?
Well, I'm satisfied with that then for now. I guess we'll just let that lie and let you continue doing what you do.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the second subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now, Crane isn't here, which is fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted. Obviously, there's been some miscommunication somewhere from someone. Now, obviously, I can't be asked with any further telephone, and I'm not really taking this as telephone because you have what he factually said to you, and I have what he factually said to us. So hopefully, we can figure out where this miscommunication lies.
Yeah, I'll be fully transparent. He has approached me. What was it? 2 days ago. In which I very forwardly told him, because he approached me, he wanted to join SASM, and I told him quite forwardly that after our conversation in regards to Nakota and McQuillan, that look, had he come to me weeks ago, maybe the conversation would have went different. But we are not going to be taking him in, and if that's something, that's when he opened up the whole conversation about he's seeking reason to be around. He's this, that, and the third, right? And at that point, that conversation was tabled. Yesterday, he approached me again, and this time I brought Ruth with me because, as with most of these conversations, it's always good to have like a second person there, like a second witness. And in this conversation, he told me, he re-asked, right? Like first he came at the end of our like a big operation we did for 5 hours, and he once again said, "Look, I'm interested in joining. Like I feel like this is where I'm going to be motivated to be around, etc., etc." And while that was all understandable, I made it very clear to him that if you're starting, he actually, the conversation first started off with him calling me and saying that he was pissed. And I told him I was in the middle of something, and he said we needed to talk. After the operation had concluded is when, an hour or two had gone by, me and Ruth spoke. And he mentioned something about, I came on duty and our TRT van was broken. And I asked for, I think, $77,000. $700,000. And bear in mind, I have a million things that have happened since then. So some of these things I might be missing. And he said that he requested it, and he was kind of told, given the impression, this is coming from him, that he needed to be around more and that he wasn't doing ops and he needs to do more of these ops. And that really ticked him off. Yeah. I don't really want to dive too deep into what he said because that's going to turn into a game of telephone. But at the end of it, I told him that he needs to, and then that's when he went to go on to express his interest in joining SASM. I made it very clear to him, not once, not twice, but 3 times, so that he understood this in front of Ruth, is that I value the relationship we have, not only working well, but also the fact that my marshals and your deputies have been working well, and it's a very healthy environment. I told him that he needs to come speak to you guys, resolve whatever issues he has, and if it comes down to the point where like he's like, you know, demanding a transfer, that's when you need to be giving an actual blessing for it. And if it's going to ruin the relationship, I am going to value you, them. I'm going to value my department and this relationship more than him. And I said that very, very bluntly.
So just to clarify the conversation that we had with Declan, it was very much, there was no problem solving. There was no talking about problems. He was very much running the narrative to me and Angel that when he'd been coming on duty, he'd been prioritizing a lot of his time with the marshals. He was stating that every time he woke up, he was with you, and he felt guilty being in a BCSO uniform while spending all of his waking time with the marshals. He said alongside doing the academy, which is this weekend, and all of the work that he's doing with you guys, he feels it's unfair on the BCSO, and he feels bad himself because he feels guilty. And I then went on to say, it isn't your job to manage your expectations, and it also isn't your job to decide what you as a command member should be doing in the BCSO. I said, that's very much my job. It's my job to manage your expectations, and it's my job to explain to you what your duties are as command.
I don't think Declan necessarily fumbled either, chat. And we'll get to that.
I have seen that I wouldn't want you to do. I've always supported, empowered him, given him what he wanted. And also half of my department, I mean, you know me, Knight, I've always said this. I will put detectives first no matter what. And that's something that I've said from day one, is something that I still say now. And I very much empower and encourage Bean, Maeve, Ventura, Jenna, every single one of them to work with you guys. And he then went on to saying, well, that means that, you know, he doesn't get to be involved in the front end. I said, that's not true. You should speak to Riker or Maeve. They literally are involved in a lot of things and have the ability to see and work with the marshals in ways that even I don't, right? Which they do. So it very much just kept coming back to, you're not giving me a reason. You're not giving me a problem. And that's all he would kept saying. He's spending too much time with you. He feels guilty. It was just like a repeat of that. Then after that, I just said, look, just me and Angel just said, after a lot of back and forth about him not really actually giving a reason, not giving a problem, or not giving us anything to solve, I was like, just tell me what you're actually thinking. I was like, stop trying to sugarcoat this shit. Just be straight with me. That's when he said, look, I'll be honest. I haven't got any motivation to wake up. And I think the marshals would bring that motivation back. At which point, obviously me and Angel told him that we were upset, because we are. But I said, if that's what's going to bring you around, then I'm not going to stand in the way of that. You know, I value Crane as a person, and I would never stand in the way of someone being happy, right? Because let's be honest, if he's not going to come around because he's in the BCSO and he doesn't want to do that, then I've lost him either way, whether he transfers or doesn't. It was then when I said, okay, we'll approve this. I'll call Knight and let him know. I then called you, and you sounded a little bit confused and stated, well, he told me that he was pissed off with you guys, which isn't what he said to me and Angel at the time. There was nothing about being pissed off with us in any way.
He didn't bring up the... Yeah, okay.
Like he didn't bring everything you just mentioned there. He did not bring up. That wasn't a
he
single...
mentioned it to me, and we were talking it over, but he didn't talk about it in the main meeting.
And then I called him back, and I said, "Hey, I've just spoken to Knight, and I'm now a little bit confused because Knight mentioned that you were."
This is where Frost, I think,
he
really
said,
fucked it up.
That's not true. I was pissed off at you for 2 minutes, but then I realized I was actually pissed off at myself because I've taken on all of these things that I requested.
Because Frost was demanding a conversation in the middle of court.
Anything with them. So he said, in the moment, I took that frustration out on you. Now, just to clarify, just so you're on the same page, he requested 700K. I looked at the TRT reports and incidents and went through everything that I could TRT.
I'm not going to say it too much, but this is quite centeredly Frost demanding that conversation in the middle of court.
Just let him know
and wanting an explanation and then giving an ultimatum.
Or tell me what he's been doing with TRT, because it's a lot of money for a cert that hasn't done anything in over 30 days, right? Which is fair enough. Ventura probably explained it in a more blunt way. I haven't actually spoken
when this could have been a conversation for tomorrow.
He said he wasn't actually mad at me. He was mad at himself for not waking up or whatever he wanted to say. Then it turned into this whole thing where he kept saying that he thinks you're bored and he thinks I'm stirring or you're stirring, but there was no stirring. And I told him I'm not going to accept bored or stirring for an answer. I said, I've been very direct. I just want you to be direct with me too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how the communication with him went. I
think,
approved it and was happy.
Yeah.
And then there was the level of confusion where he's told you one thing, told me another thing.
Well, hold on. There's a very important point here, right? Is this isn't bear in mind when you gave me that phone call, it was in the middle of court, right? For Springfield's thing that she's been working on for a month. And you did give me an ultimatum, right? And
I did?
You did. Yes.
I gave you a future ultimatum. I didn't give you an ultimatum.
Yeah. However, the energy by which you called me and the statement was, I told you to stop taking my people. I've already approved Crane. And if this happens again, we are cutting all working relationships or something along those lines. That's where I got very confused. Because the last conversation I had with Crane was to work with you guys because what his issues were possibly could have been resolved. And to then get a phone call that the transfer has been approved as if I've even accepted him, right? Because keep in mind, right? Someone can say, hey, I want to go to SASM, get a approval, right, from whatever department, whether it's like, BCSO or LSPD, that doesn't mean like we approve it. So for me, it was kind of like, how did we go from go talk to your high command into now there's a transfer and we're taking it, right?
Well, that's exactly
especially because like what I would have sort of expected is like, let's say there's like an issue, right, that we're going to talk about and be like, hey, this guy wants to transfer over and like blah 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 blah, and I could even just say like, hey man, I won't take him, right? But when it was attached to the ultimatum, I'm in the middle of court, I was confused what the hell y'all even spoke about. And I think as a consequence of the, 2-3 minute phone call, I think we sort of, what is it called? We sort of, I think that is where Crane may have thought we were stirring, right?
Yeah.
And so just to we need to be fair to him to some degree, because I spoke to him afterwards because I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And he relayed to me that he initially wanted to speak with Angel and sort of express his full take on things, right? Because I do think he wants to be here. He is losing motivation. And it's possible he was not able to fully, you know, express himself. And I think because we kind of went very quick about it and we didn't have time. I didn't have time to talk at the moment. You know, you didn't have time. The three of us didn't have time to meet. I think it kind of turned into this, turned into what it is, right? So,
yeah.
You know.
And I mean, just to clarify, right? When I called, right, so you have to understand this. Angel, just to make sure that it wasn't just me perceiving this, it very much felt like he was coming to us with this being pre-approved. Did you get that vibe too, Angel?
Yeah, I would say the conversation tone essentially took the shape of he was explaining to us his issues and he was taking the roundabout way of he's like trying to pull a Band-Aid off very slowly to get to the ultimate point of saying I'm going to the Marshals.
I think he was too.
And we basically we forced his hand. We told him, listen, just say what you want to say. What are you actually trying to communicate to us? Because we don't really want to beat around the bush here. And he just basically said, well, I want to go to the Marshals. I'm transferring to them. And that's how the conversation was perceived from our front. And I would never expect anyone to talk like this unless they already had a position offered to them.
No.
And he seemed quite sure that there was a position offered to him. So when you did that, so when he called you and you said that he was like not coming over or whatever, he seemed really confused and just thought you were messing with him.
No.
It was straight up, Brian. I'm going to be honest with you. It was actually really painful to watch. I watched him flounder in real time as he struggled to grasp the reality that he had just basically shot his career in the head with a shotgun. And he was walking around like a zombie. It was very painful.
I mean,
and so to be clear here, right? To be clear here, I had not approved anything, right?
Yeah.
And we made it really clear that he's got to work with you guys. Because the thing is, too, like, I have to factor in. I will say this, is that he spoke to me 2 days ago, and then he spoke again. And in my mind, I know the pacing Sassam's going at. We're not looking to sprint. We're being forced to sprint, right? On a number of different fronts. Financials, corruption, fucking... why are the Marshals not pulling military equipment out, even though the state's saying no? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so we need expertise, but I am very intentionally going at a pacing that we do not fall flat. And so when he approached me 2 days ago and then yesterday, even I could see he was kind of, I need patience. He wasn't showing it. I think he's getting impatient, and it sounds like y'all may have had that impression as well.
Massively. I mean, just again, so you can understand our perspective on the phone call I gave you. As soon as we approved it, because he was asking for approval, as soon as it was approved, I think he literally said something like, "Okay, great, I'll ring Knight and get it sorted now." Like, it was very much like,
no,
you had already given your blessing. He just needed ours.
No,
yeah,
that was the full tone and
of
the conversation. There was no doubt in my mind that he wasn't pre-approved at any point.
So
he gave me no reason to doubt that.
He also and please help me clear this confusion for me as well. Is anyone that transfers, I don't give a fuck about the LSPD, just straight up. It's a fucking corrupt dog shit department. Unless y'all had the full blessing, there is no approval from our end. It's not worth, and no one is worth that much. My understanding, and please correct me here, is because what he portrayed to me is that the conversation went well, and it wasn't until you and I spoke that it got heated, right?
Yeah, the conversation did go well, and it wasn't it wasn't until me and you spoke, and then he came back and it was just chaos. He came back and he was very hostile. He was very confused because I'd literally just said, like, look, I've spoken tonight here, and he said this. Like, I asked you to be direct with me, and you haven't been. And that's when he then went into the real reason of what I said a minute ago. And just to touch on that phone call, the Crane situation wasn't an ultimatum. And let me actually go into the layers of why I was pissed. What you have to understand is we've spoken as two departments and
Frost isn't being fully
discussed that we will
truthful
hold
here.
academy and training,
I don't
right?
think
Which
he's
I'm happy
willing to
do.
understand his
However,
fault at
when
this.
Crane was first speaking
If it was
to me and
good,
Angel, because
then why did he call so
didn't have the
pissed?
conversation he had with you to us. It was very much I'm
But
spending
we don't
so
have to
much time
fix that.
training the marshals. I have to focus on the academy. All of this shit was his reason for transferring. So now I've got this fucking red light dinging in my head. I've agreed to help the marshals with academies and training. And now one of my leading P&T and command members has come to me and said, due to academies and training, he feels guilty being with the BCSO and wants to transfer. So you can understand why I felt like that, right? I felt like I've done a favor and now it's fucked me. There wasn't an ultimatum with Crane. I want Crane to be around. And I said this to him. Angel said it to him. And if transferring is what makes him happy, I still want him to do that. The ultimatum was, I understand that people may come to you with interest, but I have this feeling that you might entertain that interest. Am I wrong?
Yeah, of course I'm going to entertain it.
And
I mean,
that's
here's the thing, right?
issue,
Like,
right? Because if you dangle a carrot in front of someone...
No one is getting carrots. There's the two different statements, right? Dangling a carrot is not being done. But if someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I'm interested in SASM, I'm not going to, you have to understand that this is like with any other person, right? I cannot, you have to understand that if someone comes to me and says, I'm interested in SASM, I'm going to give them the political response, right? Dangling a carrot would infer that I've actually given them an offer, right? Because there is a level of managing other people's feelings, especially in San Andreas. So, unless you have, what would your expectation be if someone came to me and said, hey, I'm interested in SASM? What, you know what I mean? We're not hiring. You're from BCSO.
I think you should tell them to kick rocks.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
in a polite way,
Yeah.
The expectation from me is fueled on the statements you provide me. How you very much want there to be a healthy relationship. You like the way it is, and you want BCSO to remain competent, right?
Would you like me to tell people we are not accepting any transfers from BCSO?
I mean, yes. I'm going to kind of put it bluntly, because we're at a point where we're kind of at a critical junction in BCSO's path forward, where we have just lost an immense amount of talent to the state marshals, and we're also going through a large undertaking of assisting you guys, and we're happy to do so. But in losing Crane, we are essentially going over the threshold where there's too much water on the ship to keep us afloat. And we actually we might hit the point where we won't be able to turn and properly train up new deputies and replace the quality ones that we've lost to time, right? It's more so a concern that the folks that we are losing are really critical. And Crane is kind of like the most concerning flashing red light, because he's run a lot of our academies. He's done a lot of our training.
Yeah.
He's brought in a lot of our cadets.
Absolutely.
And losing him is a big blow to us, truthfully.
And that's it. And this is the thing I said to Crane too, right? I said when he was trying to manage his own expectations, I said, I'm not.
That's going to be really shitty to do, to tell people that.
I do care about him being happy though. But whenever I have needed him, and you've experienced this firsthand when we fired Helen, whenever we have needed him, he has come and he has been the most important.
Yeah, that is really shitty to tell someone. We're hiring just academy, not
right? He did
people
that.
from over there.
And he always does. And he loves doing it, and that's great. But equally, I don't just want to use him for that.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Which is why I am also on the side of happiness with Crane. But it is a massive loss, right?
I totally get that. Okay. I hope you understand that even with the Crane situation, I talked him down from even contemplating a transfer, right? So if you would like me to, if anyone in future comes to me and is in BCSO, I can tell them just straight up, like, no, we are not accepting transfers from BCSO. And I just, my fear is this, right? And help walk me through this. We are actively hiring. We have applications open, et cetera, et cetera. Managing that conversation with someone, which, as far as I'm aware, there is no one else, as to why we have open applications, but I am just straight up denying them, right? That's going to be a tough one, right? But
Well, I'm not gonna pretend like I can foresee how all your conversations need to go.
do you want me to direct them at you guys like I did with Crane?
I think that'd probably be a good way to handle it.
Yeah.
Is by having them come to us so we can actually talk about what the issues are.
Maybe in future, if something like this does occur, the three of us have a chat with that person, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
You understand the awkward. I hope you guys understand the
I get
awkward
it.
position
I get
that
it.
puts me in. Because
Yeah, I
even
understand.
with the Crane
it's
thing,
awkward.
I want to just make this very clear. I did everything in my power to direct him to speak with you guys and resolve it, right? And telling someone, like
I think the thing with Crane, right? There was nothing to resolve.
yeah.
He just wants a reason to wake up, and that's fine. I think we were both misled by what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
But we did eventually get there. I mean, I eventually got there with him, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I was happy to approve it.
Listen, Brad, I'm not gonna tell you exactly what you need to tell them. I would just ask that we want the tone of the conversations to not basically entertain their dreams of joining the Marshals. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be
100%. Right.
Like, I don't.
And
I'm not saying like you can't talk to people and work with them and be happy. I just don't want the tones of conversations to lead down the path of having them think about what a career in the Marshals could be like, or
none of those every conversation with Crane, and I can swear on this, has been, we have a lot of people, the BCSO needs you, you need to speak to your high command and resolve it, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm more so talking about general, not about Crane specifically.
Yeah. It's I mean, look, a long time ago, I think it's been like 6 weeks, 7 weeks now, a very similar conversation happened with Riker. And that went swimmingly, right? And this is in this particular case, I don't know why the conversation with y'all wasn't like from a perspective of like resolving his concerns. But instead sort of sounds like it turned into, hey, I'm leaving anyways. Which I kind of get, right? Because he hasn't been around. And
I mean, if he wants to get somewhere, sometimes
even
people don't
I'm
want to make the
uncertain.
effort.
Look, I haven't even gotten to the point in my own mind as to whether he understands what the expectations within the Marshals are, right? So it kind of puts me in an awkward position with him as well. Right.
I mean, he told us that he was excited to go on his training arc and basically start over from the bottom up and learn new things.
There's a lot he's gonna. I have a feeling he's gonna learn very quickly. Is things are very different from what he might be expecting, but I guess see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Oh, all right. Well,
all right. Well, I have to get to the event soon.
Wait, so what's his
I don't know if
status
we've
right
come
now?
to yeah, we need to come to a.
What status? Sorry.
Well, we haven't really. Me and my command haven't even spoken about taking him in.
Well, this is what's confusing, right? At night, listen, if you were there at that conversation, I promise, like, he fully acted as if it was like done and dusted. As soon as I approved it, his fucking face lit up. He basically jumped for joy, and he was half in his Marshal uniform. That's why it's very confusing, right?
Okay. We'll have a chat with him. I think ultimately, I think we can agree that Crane being around is ideal. And
Absolutely.
what has been communicated to me is that he is interested in continuing his training for both departments. I don't know how y'all feel about that. Quite frankly, this sounds like there's a lot of telephone here, and I don't want. I'm being cautious with trying to relay some of the things he told me because I don't want to get it lost in from whatever the fuck I remember 12 hours in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. What? So that phone call, how much of that was serious?
Which part?
Well, the conversation went good, and you kind of threw an ultimatum in there. That
I mean, it wasn't an ultimatum for now, right? And you also have to understand.
No, I do, but this is him. But understand my perspective, right?
Wait, let me just finish. You asked.
Yeah.
If you take people like Crane, you wouldn't even need us to help you train them anyway. You'd have Crane.
I'm trying to understand if Crane could have caused a issue, and I need to deny him. That's why I'm asking you.
No, the current situation with Crane isn't an issue due to his situation. The issue was if it continues. That, like Angel said, how can we help you with our department if we're going to be struggling to help our own department, right?
Okay. So it wasn't serious, or it was serious?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Well, so in the conversation, do you remember what you said on the phone?
Yeah, I said if you continue to take my command,
right,
it's going to be very difficult for me to continue working with you.
Okay. You did say we're not going to work with you, right? So the reason the reason why this is an important question for me is if Crane caused a situation that can cause this turmoil, I have to consider what he would do under my employment, right? Does that make sense? Because if he can cause a miscommunication once, it means he'll do it again, right? That's why I'm asking that question. Not so much why you said it, but what led to it, right? Does that make sense?
I think so. Well, it's not really Crane, right? It's the magnitude of all of it.
I got you. Okay.
Crane was just more. It was going back to the layer situation earlier, right? Again,
I was very pissed at Crane after hearing what you said. I was fucking infuriated with Crane. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, but again, right? It's the layered thing that I'm talking about. The way that Crane explained it to me and Angel was he's spending so much time focusing on the Marshals with this academy coming up and training that he wants to transfer because he feels guilty in our uniform. Now, if we backdate to the conversation me and you had in the car, you stated to me that you wanted help with training, which I was happy to do. But now Crane's asking me to leave because he's helping you train, right?
Yes.
So in my head,
well, even the statement of like, I've been hanging out with the Marshals so much, and even that's got me doing question marks. Cause I'm like, I mean, yeah, we had a conversation about academy, but like, what is this narrative, right?
Exactly. And what you have to see from my point of view, right, is I've accepted these academies. Crane is helping with the academies, and now Crane is leaving due to the academies. So if this academy situation of us helping you was never there, then in theory, I wouldn't have lost Crane, right? That's how it felt from the conversation me and Angel had with Crane, because that was his main reason for wanting to transfer, right? Until I rang you and you gave me a different reason, which is when we ended that phone call. We had a conversation with Crane, and then this is the next thing we spoke of it, right?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about how, like, I respect your feelings and why you said it. For me, it's more like, what the fuck was Crane saying? You know what I mean? For me, this is like, I'm going to ask him pretty directly too. I would love for you guys to be there. For me, it's like a credibility thing for Crane, right?
You want to basically find out if he was being a little snaky snake.
Exactly.
TLDR, right?
Exactly.
Oh, like thinking it would just be a nice and easy. Hey,
yeah, exactly that.
Angel said it's good, and yeah.
You know, value for bringing Academy is one thing, but look, I'm expecting like very high level of professionalism from my marshals, and not all of them has it. So some of them are very much being worked on right now. And you know, starting a new path in this department where someone may just be, you know, yeah, I kind of want to know the truth before I even take him in, to be honest. But we'll figure it out.
I don't think if I was like do an overall impression of the situation, the way that he was talking, I wouldn't necessarily say he was being like a snake or being intentionally or overtly dishonest. I think that he is the kind of guy that's so caught up in his head and is so caught up thinking about everything and getting lost in the sauce that he managed to whip in a situation into a frenzy that it really didn't quite need to be. You know, even by his own admission, when he was talking to us, he wanted the conversation. He had planned how the conversation would go, where he told me he wanted me to basically help him soothe his mind over and then ease the actual transition out with Frost. I don't think he necessarily is like being snaky per se. I think he's more so just has these grandiose plans in his head because he's a smart guy and he gets caught up in them. And when they don't work, he just kind of, you know, flails around and tries to figure out what goes on, you know?
I completely agree. To be honest, if you were to put it in black and white, exactly right. I think he was excited and he was 10 steps ahead of himself.
Yeah.
To put it shortly.
He accidentally pulled a maze
unintentionally,
maybe is the way I put it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. Okay, that's good. That makes me feel a lot better.
I don't think he's a bad guy or he did this with dishonest intentions. I just think that he really
he was overexcited and not lacking patience.
Yes.
I doubt there was any. I highly doubt there was any malicious intent. I think he just, like you said, he was very excited. He had already envisioned his plan. Speak to Angel and Frost. Go tonight. Say it's all sorted. Get the uniform on and get to work, right?
By the way, chat, if you're curious,
I've direct with that.
dasMEHDI knows that it was just him being impatient and excited. But I'm just playing it like I would Brian from his POV.
Excuses and reasons instead of just, I want to do this. Which is all it would have took. I want to do this because I'm not happy being a patrol cop. Okay, fine. Best of luck, right? Which is how it did end.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, shit. All right. Well, where is this guy?
I don't know. I think the race is soon, Frost.
Oh, yeah. Shit. All right. Well, hey, I'm glad we were able to kind of work this out. Like I said, look, for what it's worth, I do recognize the position you guys are in, and this is shitty to even deal with. Like, you know what I mean? I wish this topic had not even been brought up. If I'm going to be just like, regardless of whatever, I don't like that he's even entertaining this while you gave him the opportunity to run the academy for us. It's just a shitty look.
I mean, the thing is, right? I'd never want to take away from any of our guys who enjoy the Marshals work.
And I get that, but be fucking patient then, right? And I get that. Even if he doesn't, whatever, it's that still bothers me regardless, right?
Yeah, I can understand that bothering you.
You did
bothered
me
me
a
too.
favor. You did me a huge fucking favor, and you entrusted him, and it didn't. That conversation didn't even need to be entertained this week, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And you know,
It does.
it's
It just is all. It's too much too soon.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
yeah. All right, I appreciate you
All right.
guys. All right,
Well, I have to go race. Team.
Yeah.
Wish me luck.
Yes.
hell yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
go.
best of luck.
Thank you. It's legal, right? It's a legal event. Right. Oh God, I hope it's legal.
Wait, is it? There's no mayor anymore.
I don't know. It's a legal event, right? Am I about
Don't
to break
worry.
the
All
law? I don't know.
right, I'll see you guys.
Well, in good faith, I think it's legal.
So look, I'm RPing it out like Brian would. I get it. Look, Crane was overexcited, but even in RP, like